Y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's video, the Pleiadians wanted to talk to us about the seedy underbelly of the spiritual community. And if you've been listening to my videos for a while, one thing you will notice is that the Pleiadians almost never comment on negative agendas, negative stories. So whenever there is something that they are wanting to bring our attention to, it always makes me sit up and pay attention. So that is what they're going to be chatting with us about in today's video. But before we jump into today's topic, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. Now, the Pleiadians wanted to chat with us a little bit about our awakened community. If you are watching these videos, you probably consider yourself to be part of the spiritual community, which means you probably follow lots of people online. You probably watch lots of spiritual videos, follow lots of people on social media, and you may even have your own spiritual teachers, coaches, mentors. And this is something that has been very, very helpful to us as lightworkers and starseeds, to have guides, because this process of finding our way through the ascension process, it can be a little tricky. It can be kind of like finding your way through the dark weeds. And so our teachers are super important for us. I am such a huge believer that we should all have teachers and mentors and coaches. But as we are moving into higher and higher bands of energy, what is coming to the surface now for us is the need for greater discernment. Because as the Pleiadians have been watching our spiritual community for a while, they're noticing that we have a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. So what they are meaning by that is we have a lot of people who are actually giving us information that is not as helpful as it appears to be on the surface. So just as by now, if you are a lightworker or a starseed, you probably have a healthy amount of skepticism for anything you hear in the mainstream community. You probably take it with a grain of salt, because we kind of know what's up there. But most of us are not being quite so vigilant with the spiritual information we are taking in. And so for a lot of us, we watch a lot of videos and we follow a lot of people. And as we do that, we are forming belief structures around what we are learning from them. And so what the P's are noticing is coming to the surface in the spiritual community is that many of these sources of our spiritual information are just as negative as what we are so cautious of in the mainstream world. So we have a lot of information in the spiritual community that is coming from, let's call it, denser sources. It is just masquerading as higher vibrational information. So we have a lot of information that on its face is using all of the spiritual language to actually mask energy that is much darker. Now, this is never to put us in fear. If you know anything from listening to the P's videos, is that they never want to put us in fear. But what they do want to nudge us toward is being a little more discerning, because a lot of our spiritual community can sound very uplifting on the surface, but what it's actually doing is promoting separation, selling negative timelines, putting us in fear. And if that is the case, no matter how spiritual it sounds, it is still an invitation to a lower timeline. And this is something the P's are saying is running rampant in our spiritual community, that things are not what they seem. So with that, what they are encouraging us to do is double check any sources of information we are following. So everyone whose videos you are listening to, everyone who you are following on social media, especially if you're investing a lot of time with them, and just ask a simple question. Is the information they're sharing uplifting and empowering you? If it is, you are on the right track. Because when you are receiving information that is higher vibrational, it is never going to put you in fear. But if we are listening to messaging that is fear-based or focusing a lot of energy on negative agendas, then what is happening is we are feeding those timelines. We have to look at the energetics of what is happening. And we cannot give our attention to lower storylines, stories of fear, stories of disempowerment, without matching that energy. And so much of the information that we have in the spiritual community is coming from a place of fear. It is coming from a place of separation, making us feel we are superior to the 3D world because of what we know. That is just coming from ego. And so we want to be very discerning with anyone we're listening to, because we believe a lot of what we hear. It's just our human way. So it's time for us as lightworkers and starseeds to turn up our discernment, to make sure that whatever sources of information we are listening to are empowering us and uplifting us. And if they are putting us in fear or separation or anger, then we are accepting invitations to lower timelines. And it's just time for us to be as cautious with our spiritual teachers as we are with anything we hear in the mainstream world. Most of us have gotten pretty good at this time at being pretty careful with anything we hear in the mainstream world, just taking it with a grain of salt, but we tend not to bring that same level of discernment into our spiritual community. And the P's are telling us it is time to do that, because they say that we're going to be a little surprised at how much lower vibrational energy is coming from our spiritual community. So they just wanted to bring this to our attention so that we all just started to double check our sources of information. We can't just trust that it's high vibrational because it is using spiritual language. So we've reached a point in our spiritual development where it is time for us to be just as careful with our spiritual information as we are with our mainstream information. So the P's just wanted to bring this to our attention because they see that a lot of lightworkers and starseeds are getting pulled into lower timelines without realizing it, thinking that they are hearing information that is empowering, when in fact, they are getting pulled deeper into 3D storylines. So remember, if you are truly listening to high vibrational information, it is going to empower and uplift you. But if something is selling the fear message, we want to be very cautious about that. So the P's just wanted to bring this to our attention so that we didn't continue to fall down the rabbit hole just because something was using spiritual language. So that is what the P's wanted to share with us in today's POV. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.